Good morning, everyone. With the New Zealand Interdominion coming up for 2026, I thought it would be time to introduce some of the entrants to the tracking system that we're going to be using. So this got started out of a discussion between Bruce and David and myself, and we wanted to provide a way for the race organisers to be able to keep in touch with where each of the entrants are on particularly the longer legs when we're, for example, going between Auckland and Waiheke Island. We also wanted a way for the sailors to be able to indicate that they needed assistance from one of the support boats. And so this is the system we've come up with. And so I'm just going to introduce you to it because if you're an entrant in the Interdominion, you're going to need to understand how this works and possibly get it set up on your own phone. So the basis of it is that I'm bringing across to New Zealand about 14 or so old phones that are set up with a tracking app. And they're a mixture of different phone types that I've scrounged up from various sort of friends and family and things. That won't be quite enough because we have currently 17 entrants, plus we've got a number of support boats that also need to be tracked. So we will need some of the competitors to be taking their own phones out. And in the WhatsApp chat, it'd be great if you could indicate that you will be able to take out your own phone. The app is basically talking a bit about your devices. So to take a phone out on the water, you'll want it to be waterproof. So there's really three main ways to do that. One is you could just put the phone into a simple Ziploc bag like that. So if I grab an example phone, you can put a phone in a waterproof Ziploc bag, and I'll have a bunch of these bags with me and do it up tightly. You could even put it in a double layer of Ziploc bag if you want to, 2 layers, fold it over, make sure it's sealed properly, put on a second bag around it if you want to, and that's the simplest and cheapest way of waterproofing your phone. Downside of this is if you get your phone out while you're out on the water and you accidentally let go of it, it's likely to sink and you'll lose the phone. So that is only if you want the absolute cheapest way of doing things. The next method up is to get a case like this. This is a Lamicall case. They're dirt cheap. They're about 10 or 11 Australian dollars on Amazon. And you can buy sort of 2 for 20, I think, that sort of price. So they really do work quite well, but they are a single seal. So you only have a single seal at the top. So if you've got a very expensive phone, maybe you don't want to use this relatively cheap option. But for certainly the old phones that I'm bringing over, no problem at all. I wouldn't be worried at all. And I did use one of these every time I went sailing for like 6 months, and I never had a problem even with my expensive phone. So they are really quite good. So that's an option. Just look on Amazon for phone cases, and the Lamicall ones are ones that I've found quite good. There's different sizes. The smaller size seems to work well for most phones. If you want a really good one, this is the one that I use now. This is a Vycobi. I've got it attached to my life jacket, also a Vycobi life jacket here, and I've got it attached via a little hook on here. And this is the one that I now use all the time with my phone. And it's got a triple sealing system, sort of 2 layers of seal there and there. Then it folds over and forms a 3rd layer of sealing. It's very, very well made. Sells for about 40 Australian dollars at various sites in Australia, the Vycobi site and a whole bunch of other resellers. And Vycobi are a sponsor of Windsurfing Australia, so it's nice to also support them. Available in different colors. So if you've got a good phone, that's what I would recommend you get, one of these Vycobi phone holders. They're very, very good. Okay, other options. So the actual devices themselves, there's 4 different types of devices that are currently supported by the tracking system. You can use a Android phone. You can use an iPhone. You can use a Google Pixel watch like this one. Has to be one with LTE, so it has to have internet connectivity on the watch in order to do the live tracking, so the race organizers know what you're up to, where you are, and if you're in trouble. Or you can use an Apple Watch. Although this particular Apple Watch doesn't have internet connectivity, I'm just using it with Wi-Fi testing. You would need to get something like the Ultra Apple Watch, which is quite expensive, but it does have the necessary internet connectivity to use it. So simplest and easiest is to use a phone. It can be a reasonably old phone. There's information about, if you have a look on this wstracker.org, I'd highly recommend you go and have a read through this website, wstracker.org. And there's an FAQ down here. If I have a look at this FAQ, it's got information about what versions are supported. So with iPhone, it's anything iOS 15 or later, which basically means iPhone 7 or later. Android phones means anything Android 8 or later, which it means sort of up to 5-year-old or so phones roughly would work with Android. With Apple Watches, WatchOS 9 or Wear OS 3 with Wear OS, which is the Google watches or Samsung watches. So they're the types of devices you can use. You then need to install. There's a button here for Get the App, and there's instructions for getting it for Android, for iPhone, for Wear OS, and for Apple Watch. On the Android one, I would ask that you go to the bottom and use the download, the side-loaded one, because it allows me to more rapidly update it if we have an issue. Otherwise, it takes a few days for the update to go through. With the iPhone installations, you do have to go via the Test Flight app for iPhone to install it on iPhone. As I said, I'm going to be bringing at least 12 trackers myself to New Zealand, possibly up to 15 or 16. I'm still scrounging around various friends and relatives to gather up more. All of those ones I'll be bringing will have been tested. So I'll have been taking them out sailing. I take a backpack. My last sail, I had 12 devices with me out on the lake. I was tracking and all of them worked nicely. I'll have most people covered. But as we've now got 17 entrants plus the support boats, we're going to need some more. So we are going to need some volunteers to take their own phones out on the water. And I'm very happy to work with you individually if you have any issues with the installation or testing, because you do need, if you're going to take your own phone onto the water, you do have to test it before you get to New Zealand, just to make sure that everything works on your phone. We have had some devices not work well. Doug's phone, for example, we had issues with its tracking, and I believe I might have resolved that now, but that hasn't been confirmed. So we don't want to find out on the day before the competition that your device doesn't work. Okay, so how do you use it? So what I've got up here is an emulator of an Android phone, and when you open up the emulator, you're going to need to, first of all, do some settings. And in the settings, you need to put in your name. I've just put in a sample here of Slow Coach. And it can be just like your first name and the initial of your surname just has to be distinctive. For the ones that I'm providing, the 12 trackers I'm bringing with me, they're set to Tracker 1, Tracker 2, Tracker 3 up to Tracker 12. And we will then change its name using the administrator interface. You don't need to change that. And on the back of each one that I'm bringing, there is a label. So this is Tracker 6. It just says T6. And so you know which one it is. And then the administrator, that's either David Tangi or myself, will via the administrative interface on the web interface, we will change it to be your name. So we just need to get that registered against you before you go off. And we'll probably also add some details of the color of your sail. You can add additional information on each tracker so that it's easier for the support boats to see, that's the green sail with the red trim, or that's sail number, 151. So I know who that is when we're looking in binoculars. Okay, you'll need a password, I've just faked this up with 8 stars because this video is going to be public. You'll be given the password for the New Zealand Interdominion event on WS Tracker in the WhatsApp group. So, or please ask me for it if you need it. You'll need to choose the correct event here. So you'll have these different events. We've currently got 3 events, Western Australia, there's a general testing one. You'll be choosing the New Zealand Interdominion 2026 event. Your name. On Android, you've got a tracking buzz that says whether it goes bzz. There's a little subtle buzz once a minute while it's tracking, so you know it's working, and it'll be a buzz buzz double buzz if it's failing for some reason, not able to get GPS, not able to connect to the internet, whatever. So that gives you some confirmation once a minute that you are being tracked. So second thing is auto start on boot. All of the 12 I'm bringing over, I've set them up like that. All of the Android ones anyway. iPhone can't do that. That just means that you just need to power it on in the morning. It starts up in a state called idle. So when it's in the idle state, so like this is what it looks like when it's sort of idling, and it means that it's not actually tracking yet. You're not seeing a latitude and longitude and anything like that, your speed. The administrator can then start it tracking. So we can also start it tracking here by pressing start tracking. So in the case of the Interdominion, we're going to be starting tracking using the administrative web interface where we can remotely control devices to start them tracking and stop them tracking between races, because while they're tracking, they use a lot of battery. When they're not tracking, they use virtually no battery, or very, very little. And so the idea is that David is going to be stopping them from tracking between races so that we're not using battery, rapidly all day and running them out. So when you start tracking, this is the sort of screen you'll see. It shows the event you're entered in, which is the Interdominion, your name, the position, your speed and course, etc. The fact that it's got good connectivity to the internet. And you also get a little link here, which you can use to go and have a look at what's happening with all the sailors. So if I click on that, then that will come up with a web page, and that web page shows, I don't want that, go away. So that shows everyone who's currently online. You can put this away so you can see more of the map. They're showing up currently in Canberra just because I'm based in Canberra, but obviously they're going to be in New Zealand. And so this is Slow Coach. I could bring up more information about Slow Coach and the speed and position, battery level, signal strength, how recently it updates. It sends an update every 10 seconds to the server, but it sends 10 updates in that one. That one sends 10 samples of position and speed, which means you actually end up with a log at 1 hertz. So, so it's quite a smooth track. You end up in the track review later when you look at it. You can also choose to display the track for individual users on the map. So when they're moving around, you can sort of see the track and what's happening. Okay, and you'll be able to see all the other people. We've got things like battery level and stuff, so we can see if somebody's coming low on battery, and we can also tell if they're being charged and that sort of thing. So back to the tracker. And the other essential thing that we have in this system is the ability to ask for assistance. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'll go to this. This is the sort of display that David's going to see as the admin. He has a list of all of the sailors who are connected, who are currently out on the water. And if one of the sailors gets in trouble, they have an issue, then this is the simulator doing a reset of its position. Sorry about it goes no GPS every minute or two. When you're out on the water, you can unlock your phone and you do a long press on this request assistance button like this, and it'll show up on David's display as Slow Coach needs assistance. And that means that he can then call out on the marine radio and tell one of the support boats. He'll know where the support boats are because they'll be being tracked as well, and tell one of the support boats that they need to go and help Slow Coach because they're in trouble in some way. Maybe just exhausted, maybe wants a snack or a drink, whatever. They want some assistance. If you press it again to cancel the assistance, so that you no longer need assistance, you're fine. You can cancel that, and it'll get cancelled on the David's display. On most of the phones, I've managed to set it up so that you can. So this is T6, and what I'm going to do is show you what happens. David, with the admin interface, can start tracking on a phone. So Tracker 6, this one has just been activated by the administrative interface. So David has the admin password to do that, and he can start and stop and change the details. So I can set that is to Speed Demon as the name. So we're going to override the name and red sail 675. So that allows David to set up this particular tracker as being Speed Demon with a red sail 675, gives him the information he needs. And on these types of devices, and when I give you the device, I'll tell you whether this will work for you. You don't need to unlock the phone. You don't need to, press anything. You just press both volume keys at once. So if I do that now, if I can do it through the case, then it's a little bit fiddly through the case doing that. And no, hang on, what's happened to this one? Of course, something goes wrong when I'm trying to demonstrate it. So, all right. And yes, I've got a problem with a metal roof and not always getting a connection to the internet here. So let me just pop into admin, and this is Speed. Oh, it has got assistance. So it did actually come up with assistance. My apologies. I was looking for Tracker 6, but it actually worked fine. So, the pressing both volume keys at once allows you to start or stop the assistance. And so Speed Demon, comes up needing assistance, and David can also, as the admin, cancel the assistance. If, for example, the support boat goes over and finds that really they don't need assistance, it's all fine, they've just accidentally pressed it, David can go and cancel the assistance. And in a few seconds, the Speed Demon will show as not needing assistance anymore and is all fine. Okay, so that's the basics of the WindSurfer Tracker. So I hope that gives you an idea of what we're doing and for tracking in the New Zealand Interdominion for 2026. If you have any questions, please ask them on the WhatsApp group. And we do need some volunteers for people to take their own phones out, because I'm not going to be able to bring enough phones over I just can't scrounge up enough of them in order to get everyone supported with devices. So looking forward to seeing you all in New Zealand. And yep, I'll see you all then.